Hello, today I'm going to analyze and give an in-depth guide for the pilot William. William's talent is called Fearless Army, and with no ascension has a 20% damage increase when surrounded by 4 enemies, giving a 5% damage bonus per enemy. And at Ascension 3, he provides a 25% damage mitigation on both his arms when his arm health is above 60%. And this is individual bonuses, so 25% per arm, and the threshold is activated individually. For a free-to-play player, you do not need him at Ascension 3, but for whales, this is advised as for those who spend are looking to maximize. Now, I understand that the damage mitigations for William can fit a narrative, but the issue is 25% mitigation isn't going to prevent his arms from breaking. If the opponent is directly focusing on it, and the threshold is only for the 40% of health he has at the start of his HP threshold, and below 60% he is susceptible to full damage. And if you really want to prevent William from losing his arms, it's better to use the Guardian to shield him in general if you are afraid of being targeted by snipers. Moving on to the Bionic computer, I'll be going over the entirety of this section, and will provide my thoughts after with a progression guide on what skills to use. So starting off with this first skill, Surging Fury, which is a passive that grants a critical increase before each attack and stacks 3 times up to a total of 15%. At the first neuron module, he has the basic bonuses that most of his archetype have for this module at CP1. A link attack increase per turn by 1, and at 4 CP, 1 AP regen. And at 7 CP, initial AP plus 1. His next skill is called Flanking Firepower, which is another passive skill granting when launching a link attack, the damage is increased by 50% and hit rate is increased by 10%. His next skill, which is an active skill at a AP cost of 4, uses a heavy machine gun to attack all targets within a specific range of the skill for 50% of base damage, causing a debuff granting a negative 35% armor decrease for 1 turn. Moving on to his next skill, which is another passive called Firepower Matrix, which uses a heavy machine gun to intercept coming rocket damage, which deducts the total damage of the rocket done by 30%, and letting the rocket still do 70% of its remaining damage to you or multiple friendly targets, which has a trigger rate of 3 times per turn, and will only activate within the damage range of William. At Neuron Module 2, he also has very standard chip bonuses for his Neuron Module, to which at CP1, his link attack damage multiplier is now 30%, and at CP4, when destroying a part, restores 1 AP, and can only happen 1 time. And at 7 CP, he gains a AP increase of 1. His next active skill is called Rack, and this is his bread and butter skill, but it enables William to enter a rack mode very similar to Tactician, but instead gives him a bonus range of +2 and 1 extra bullet during his combat phase. This allows him to enter rack mode and immediately enter a damage phase as long as he has AP after entering rack mode, as rack consumes 1 AP. For his Neuron Module 3, it's also very basic for his archetype, as for his CP1, he gets Ideal Range, which gives him a 15% increased damage for targets in Ideal Range, which is a red tile box that the enemy is in during William's damage phase. And at CP4, he gains a AP increase of +1. And lastly, at CP7, if William has not done any damage during his turn, he'll be able to move an extra 2 tiles, which is pretty massive for a guy that uses a heavy mech. His next passive is called Nonstop Gunfire, which gives William another link attack turn with the ability to gain 1 AP after activating link attack 4 times, which is a really good passive, especially since rack range is considered link attack range. So getting him to link attack 4 times is not as hard as most people might think. Moving on to his Neural Module 4, which is where most characters tend to split in diversity, which tend to only apply specifically to pilots individually. So at CP1, he gains a buff to his talent called Fearless Army, granting him a 5% critical hit rate bonus per enemy within damage range, up to a total of 20%. At CP4, he gains another AP cap increase by 1, and at CP7, he gains a rear attack if he has not moved during his turn, and can only be activated 1 time at CP10. He gains a 3% damage increase up to a total of 15% damage increase when 5 tiles away from William, equating to a 3% damage bonus per tile away from William at CP13. For each additional enemy hit by an AoE skill, it increases by 3.5%, up to a total damage increase of 17.5%, which is really cool since it ramps up in damage per enemy hit. And lastly, at CP16, he gains another Fearless Army buff, which from the 5% damage increase he had previously now becomes 7.5% per enemy in damage range up to a total of 30%. And lastly, for his final skill, which is an active skill, with a cost of 4 AP is called Unleash, which causes William to consume all AP he has and deal 150% of base damage. And for every AP consumed, the damage of the skill is increased by 15% with a total consumption of 8 AP, giving a total damage increase of 60% added to the 150% base damage you're already doing, giving a total of 210% of base damage, which is massive for an 4 AP skill, and it only works for every AP consumed after the 4 AP used to activate the skill. Now I will be going into skill setup and advise the best skill utility progression that's based on the knowledge we do have. And the first skill setup I would advise is a Metal Storm, Surging Fury, and Rampage Shot setup. Then when you unlock Rack, you would then ditch Surging Fury and replace it with Rack. And you will use this setup for a while until you unlock Non-Stop Gunfire, to which then you will replace Rampage Shot with Non-Stop Gunfire. And lastly, when you unlock Unleash, you will then be free to swap out Metal Storm for Unleash if you want more single target damage or for nuking one target. Now you don't need to use Metal Storm at all if you manage to get an armor down debuff from something else or another pilot such as Eileen or Simon. Another thing you can do early on is not take non-stop gunfire and go with flanking firepower, as it will give more damage per shot over time and compared to an extra link attack and 1 AP. The skills I find very niche and don't fully utilize William to the best of his ability is Surging Fury. It's good as it's a straight 15% increase in critical hit rate. The issue is it's overshadowed by much better skills. And then there's Firepower Matrix, which is very mediocre as a 30% deduction in tactical damage is very niche as well. And when compared to either reducing damage or dealing damage, especially for William's kit, which gravitates towards a more aggressive kit, this skill is overshadowed by much better skills. And then there is non-stop gunfire, which is another niche skill and is used for very specific situations when you need one extra AP. And when compared to one link attack to just extra damage per link attack, it's very overshadowed by flanking firepower. I will also have a doc sheet to view and save that has every bonuses from skills and narrow modules so you can experiment easier with William and compare and contrast with other units. The doc sheet will be in the video description of where you can click on the link and it will open up the doc sheet for you to save for your own need for future. For chip stats, I would advise just focusing on heavy crit resistance, heavy mech armor increase, and assault increase chips. And avoid assault critical chips unless you're going for a critical hit rate William build, which is not advisable. In the order of priority I will show on screen, it will be assault damage chips, then heavy mech armor chips, and then heavy mech critical resistant chips. Now for heavy ST picks, there is really only one mech he is built for, and it's for the mech or ST called Kong. And the reason for this is that Turbo Booster is great for racking with William, as every extra AP after 2 gives William a 60% damage bonus up to 30%. And the extra skill, which is Link, mod grants a total of 30% link attack damage and plus 1 link attack, which is massive for William. And his flanking firepower skill and the extra critical hit rate is literally just a bonus. Now if you don't have Kong, then I would advise using his standard mech he comes in, which is Metal Mare. The mod picks I would advise for William would be Heavy Machine Gun mod or Pressurizer mod, and if you're building William to shut down other heavy mechs, then Shatter Array is also a good choice. Moving on to backpacks, I would advise using the Damage Up Jammer, the Link Amplifier, or the Armor Suppression backpack if you're building William for heavy mech counter. The other backpack that I would highly recommend would be the Power Bank backpack, as William can't use the legendary variant of the heavy machine gun without having to increase his weight capacity. So for pairings and usage, this is a very subjective outlook, so do take this with a grain of salt. But I will give my analysis that his usage is mainly used as a support raider rather than a main raider. This pilot is generally better in teams with another raider, and one with multiple rear attacks to activate his link attack. He is very strong against single target units, almost to the point he excels only in that one role. He is also extremely good at holding down choke points, forcing the opponent to have to either fight William or avoid him entirely, which is nice, allowing William to tank some of the damage more frequently, as he is a heavy mech user. and being more of a pain for those who are not prepared to take out heavy mechs. He also pairs very well with most guardians and tacticians as his rack range can hit targets who have been hit by tacticians, making him far more valuable in such scenarios. And that also works with snipers with multiple rear attacks, like Sylvie, where every rear attack by Sylvie activates Link Attack by William within attack range. From testing and understanding his kit, the pairs exceptionally well with Frida, Eileen, Yevgeny, Simon, Dana, and Sylvie. He also pairs very well with the archetypes previously mentioned, such as tacticians, raiders, and snipers. My final thoughts on William: despite my biased subjective hate for William, I can definitely appreciate a good unit when I see one, let alone one who fulfills the role of what they are, good or beyond that. And that's what William is. William is a good raider, and at times embodies what a raider is supposed to be. He is a strong support, but also a strong unit on his own, making people think twice before making a move or before actively attacking, as William can be devastating once link attacks are happening from outer space level range. William also does really high damage per active skill, bolstering some of the highest assault damage for skills. He is also somewhat tanky, being a heavy mech as well, so not as squishy as the likes of Rosa from time to time, and being able to take hits that might be fatal for others, but not for him. William definitely embodies a sturdy support unit, but also a terrifying DPS unit all in one. And in his exchange for his movement, he gets 5 tower range from his rack effect. Overall, as I write this, my view on William has somewhat changed. Just don't expect me to say he's the best raider or anything like that, because that's far from it. However, I do think he's also up there with the best. And if you have him or have pulled him, you gained a great addition to your roster. And if you don't have a roster yet, William might be the entire roster. And that to some extent is a win. And this will be the end of the video. If you like and enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel, as I purely make content like this every 1 or 2 weeks, and shorter content between the wait, as I put a lot of thought into making my videos and providing the best possible videos I can make within the capabilities of myself. And with this being said, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section, and with this, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a blessed